is a presentation of Real Wise Productions and Komen Media Incorporated. One fox is settling while another is healing. Next on Mentality. Welcome to another installment of Mentality, the place where iron sharpens iron in the realm of health, mental health, wealth, entrepreneurship, love, and brotherhood from a man's perspective. I am one of the co-hosts of the show, Cole Johnson, and I am joined as always by the other half of this, the other co-host of the show, Mr. Wize El Jefe. How you doing, brother?
I am doing great, brother. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Life is going good.
Now, sometimes sincere acknowledgement of a difficult accomplishment or the realization of a goal after a substantial amount of time and effort, like an action that you deemed is worthy of a compliment, the action that you take, it goes much, much further than you realize. The question becomes with men, why aren't we out here giving voice to positive emotions more often? And more to the point, why do some men feel still uncomfortable telling their good friends how much they love them or how happy they are to see them or even how proud they are of whatever accomplishment they have achieved? So the question I have for you is, what person would you love to hear the words "I'm proud of you" from the most?
Ooh. I don't know, because the people that I want to hear it from, I hear it from. Like I'm blessed to have people besides people that are no longer here with us.
Right.
Everyone that opinion matters to me
Mm-hmm.
is very supportive of me.
That's
My
awesome.
wife, my wife is very supportive of what I do. Of course,
Mhm.
I got Poppy always
Right.
supporting me and bigging me up. I
Right.
got my sister who stays showing me love and telling me she's proud of me, and so it's the people that matter to me the most, and as well as you and Brian,
Mm-hmm.
and today I was humbled because someone that I kind of I look up to, and Chris Bass gave me the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
And so when it's people like that, that's why I say there's no one out there that I really want to hear. They're proud of me because the people that are supposed to say it to me say it.
Mm. Wow. Now that is a ringing endorsement of the circle that you surround yourself with is right. If you asked me this question about 20 years ago, I'd probably say my uncle.
Yeah, I would that would
Hmm.
definitely be my uncle, and maybe if I had my dad in my life, it would probably been him. But
Hmm.
more than likely, it would have been my uncle.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason being, I always wanted to have his approval, but I felt as though I never got it. And I don't need to hear it now because I felt I have it, although he never said those words. I've had a conversation as I have become a more mature adult, and yeah, he's good, and I don't need to hear that from him.
I told you earlier in the week, I feel like I'm on fire right now. Like
Yeah.
but that's because of people telling me like, "Yo, you're killing it. You're doing what you're doing what you're supposed to do. Yo, we see
Hmm.
you everywhere. You're doing that."
Hmm.
And that I was at first kind of hesitant. I wasn't really confident in myself. I wasn't really
Wow.
thinking. I was really. I had doubts. It's like I'm
Mm.
human. I'm a regular dude. Sometimes I doubt myself. Sometimes I feel. I was watching a friend of mine do his show, a live show earlier. Shout out to Alan C. Paul. Um,
Mhm.
and one of the things I pointed out was I'm afraid of success because I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because there's Matt, like there's a lot of people telling me like, "Yo, dude, you're doing some good things. You're doing some great things. Continue to do it." And so I just it's just those moments that you just have it that you let that little self doubt creep in. But
Hmm.
then again, you hear the support from the people that you love and the people that really do support you, and it kind of washes that doubt out.
In the future, interracial dating may be referred to by a different name. It actually might be, oh, I don't know. It might actually be referred to as dating. That's because the reality is that what was once considered taboo in Western society, it's now increasingly commonplace. As of 2019, 1 out of 5 marriages are interracial, and about 4.5% of Canadian couples are as well. Now, in about a 50-year span, the U.S. approval of interracial marriages has risen from 5% to 95%.
Listen, in the next 10 to 15, 20 years, Americans are going to start looking like me.
Well, well. To your point, I've heard this said. I think as far back as 2000. They said by the time you get to 2040, they said that the majority in the United States actually would be Latin descent. That would be the majority culture in the United States, and it's tilting that way now, as now less than half of the country is Anglo. In a UK survey 2 years back, over 1,000 Britons found that 9 in 10 singles have dated and are currently dating or would date someone of another race, but almost half of those respondents feared backlash from friends or family for doing so. Now, the question to you, sir, is what has been your interracial dating experiences?
Uh, oh man, I've dated all types. I've dated white, black,
Hmm.
Asian, um,
Hmm.
African. It to me, I just love women. To me, women are beautiful. It didn't matter
Yeah,
what skin color. It didn't matter. To me, it mattered that what kind of person they were.
yeah, yeah. And to me, it's the same. I learned this lesson right after high school, actually, right after when I came home from the military. So I became friends with a white woman, and we would date, but we dated more as friends. And I learned that my taste in women in general got shaped by this time period, and it was less because of what she looked like, and more because of what she was emotionally doing for me. And it was a huge lesson that I learned from this woman, as we both were learning similar things, because she had similar hangups with race and all of that, and she saw that, oh, so it's about the person and not the rapping.
Hmm.
So it was a great lesson to learn, and it was great to learn that lesson early on because it shaped who I dated later and what I wanted to see in a woman later. Because I agree with you, it is like what Fife said in Electric Relaxation. I like them black, brown, yellow, Puerto
Puerto
Rican, or
Rican,
Haitian.
Asian, yeah.
Uh, I mean, women are beautiful; they just are. And
Hmm.
and do I love black women? Of course, I married one, so of course I do. But uh, I'm not going to shut myself off, and I didn't shut myself off, and I'm glad I didn't because I found it to be pointless.
Yeah.
Now, you might have heard Alec Baldwin was filming filming a movie called Rust,
Trust. Yeah.
and yeah, and a gun went off, and he was charged with manslaughter. Well, it looks like charges against Alec Baldwin have been dropped.
Hmm.
Prosecutors filed a formal notice this past weekend dismissing without prejudice the criminal case against Baldwin, noting new facts were revealed and that demanded further investigation and forensic analysis, which cannot be completed before May 3rd. And that's the preliminary hearing of when it's going to be. An investigation into the case remains active and ongoing. Now, my question to you about this, sir, is do you think this is the right decision?
Oh man, it's tragedies happen, man. This that's not the first tragedy
Right,
in the movie.
right.
Brandon Lee was shot with
Hmm.
a with while filming The Crow and died, and so tragedies happen.
Hmm.
It's sad. Someone lost their life, but
Hmm.
if it wasn't on purpose, if it wasn't intentional, I don't see why charges should be pressed, or they should proceed with the charges because it happens. These things happen. Um, yes, I feel yes, someone should be held accountable, but if they can't, if the prosecutors feel like they don't have a case, then they're not going to go after it.
Right. I felt this was an accident all the while. It's like I didn't see any malice in what Al did because I was like I didn't think he wanted to kill somebody. I mean, it was a prop,
Mhm. Yeah,
and to me, I don't even think it was his fault. It's the person who was in charge of the prop. It was that person's fault.
whoever loaded the
And putting
gun, yeah.
and putting a live round instead of a dummy round. So no, I think this was the right decision. I'm glad that they came to this because I was hoping that Alec wasn't going to get railroaded into having to plead guilty to something that was an accident, that it
Right.
was actually part of his job. We're just getting started. Mentality will return.
That's why we here on this platform.
Marriage, a loving splendor, a daily grind. Such is the case when Damien and Jamie get together and chop it up, for marriage is real.
Let's just lay it all out here. Let's just be real with it.
Join this wonderful couple who keeps it real and always in love. BS3 Network proudly presents Marriage is Real, where love is the only thing that matters. Live every Tuesday at 8:30 Central. Oh, and Jamie has something to say.
Deuces and trays.
You have to learn to live with yourself. before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up. You know what I'm saying?
It just had everything. But I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Welcome back to Mentality, where this is a show created for all men. With Wize and Cole, I am Cole Johnson. And you might have heard that Jamie Foxx coaxed Cameron Diaz out of retirement to film a next Netflix movie with him. But for some reason, things have just taken a literal turn for the worse. And what do I mean by that? Well, welcome to Celebrity Style. Well, Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz were filming in Atlanta. And it was actually captured last week that Cameron Diaz was seen being photographed filming with Jamie Foxx's body double. And why is that? Well, unfortunately, Jamie took ill and has a medical complication and is in the hospital as we speak. Now, production crews in Atlanta have reportedly shut down filming, but resumed using a stand-in. And shout out to Jamie's daughter, Corrine, just basically trying to keep a brave step up her face because her father was hospitalized after suffering a medical complication back in the middle of April, actually it was about a couple of days after Easter. And they said that he was having multiple tests run while receiving care at a medical center somewhere in Atlanta. His medical condition has not been disclosed, but everybody in Hollywood, from Viola Davis to Martin Lawrence to I think Chris Tucker, all have sent well wishes for him to recover. Meanwhile, it has shaken up Cameron Diaz as she was in retirement ever since 2014 to possibly go back into retirement after this film is finished. Now, I will start by asking this. Why do you believe there's such secrecy with his condition?
Oh man, I don't know. It might be something serious. It's this when it comes to people's health and their condition, it's none of our business. All I can say is I wish him well. Hopefully he gets well soon and he's back doing what he does because he's a phenomenal actor, great singer. He's just an amazing talent, and it has to be real serious if they're being real secretive about it. It's just hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's ridiculous that just because he's a celebrity, people feel like they need to know all his business. No, man. If the man is not well, there's something physically wrong with him. It's not our business. All we can do is wish him well, wish him to get better. That's it.
Yeah.
Why is it important to know what is he suffering from? It's not again, all we should do is pray for him and hopefully he gets well soon and he's back to doing what he loves to do.
Yeah. And that's where I am with it too. I want him to do nothing else but just recover from whatever is ailing him. I don't really care what is ailing him, just as long as he is recovering. And that I get a chance to see him do, like you said, do what he does best. Tell jokes, sing, and act, because he's one of the rare few who could do all three very well. So, yeah, Uh, I I don't care how secretive the family has to be. I don't care how secretive he wants everything to be. All I really care is just have him be taken care of. Just take care of him, have him heal. Don't have him worry about anything else but healing,
Yeah,
and just have him recover and recuperate.
yeah.
Uh, so Corin, his adult daughter, how do you think she has handled this situation?
Uh, I'm sure it hasn't been easy.
Mhm.
Um, it's not easy dealing with a parent when they're not doing too well.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's a very very draining. It can be very draining, and I think she's keeping her head above water. She is her daughter, her father's daughter. So I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm sure she's strong, and she's just trying to keep her head afloat, man. It's not easy when you're dealing with a parent that's sick. It really
Yeah.
isn't. And
No.
I'm
Definitely not.
experiencing that now with my mom and
Right.
her with her stages of Alzheimer's and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy when you're dealing with a parent that's not doing well.
No. No, it's not. And it's a credit to her. I mean, I think she would have every right to lose every bit of the mind that she does have.
Yeah.
But, she has the strength and the fortitude to not do that. And to me, she is representing her father very well in this situation.
Yeah.
And to me, in this story, I look at her. I'm hearing the words that's coming out of her mouth. I'm seeing how she is being, and in this situation, all I can do is applaud, because that's what I would want anybody to do if that was my mother or my father, or in my case, my mother-in-law. Even, I want people to have the best interest at the person who is ailing's heart. And if you want to release some information, fine. If you don't, I'm good with that too. Just as long as you're showing me that the person that you care for is taken care of, I don't care about anything else. And so I am happy that Jamie has Corrine in his life, because she has done a bang up job in releasing the information timely and releasing the right information when we need what we need and how much we need it. Because I agree with you in your earlier assessment. It's none of our business as to how serious it is with
Yeah.
Jamie's condition. You know, it's none of my business as long as he's getting taken care of. That's all I care about.
Absolutely.
So, with Cameron Diaz's Hollywood comeback being derailed by all of this, do you think this would be the last we see of her in Hollywood? I mean,
Man, I didn't realize she had been gone so long. Seriously.
mhm,
Um, I don't know. I guess because I really haven't been watching movies like that late in the last few years, but
mhm,
I I, I didn't know she hadn't been in Hollywood since 2014.
yeah.
Seriously.
Do you think Jamie should retire after receiving such the medical scare?
I don't know. Who are we to say if he should retire? It's because if you don't do what you love, especially if you have to stop doing what you love early in life, sometimes it tends to go downhill after that. So, so for me, it's if medically he can't go,
Mhm,
then yeah, retire. But it's crazy because he looks like he keeps himself in great shape.
right.
Looks like he works out.
Mhm,
This just goes to show you that life is crazy. Like
yeah.
if something's gonna happen to you, something's gonna happen.
Mhm.
That's why you take every day and you just
Ooh.
you take every day and live it as if it's your last because you're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Mhm.
Me and you've experienced this enough where we've lost people that we love
Yeah.
at a young at an age
Yeah.
that
Mhm. Yeah.
that you be like, wow. In the last few years alone, I've lost friends close to my age to heart attacks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like this is something like when I was growing up, people who got heart attacks was probably like 60, 70.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about people in their 30s, 40s,
40s. Yeah.
getting heart attacks.
Yeah. Whew, man, you say that, man. That makes me think about one of my homeboys, man. You would have loved him. He's one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, and I'm not saying this for hyperbole. I really do mean that. Met him back in 2011, and he was the type of dude that if something happened good to you, he celebrated it like it was happening to him, and it wasn't a selfish thing. It was the most unselfish thing that you could see, and he would be so proud for you. Man, I was like, ooh, and I was feeling that energy of, man, I get to be with this. This is one of my partners for life, for the rest of my life. We're gonna grow old, and I get to be enthralled with this type of person who has joy in his heart. And 3 years later, he dies from pneumonia. He was only 43 years old. So yeah, many prayers to you, Jamie, from the Mentality family.
Prayers are up.
Mentality will be back in 2 and 2. Quinn.
Moment of clarity. I haven't watched BET in years.
KP.
Drake needs to come back with another triple platinum album.
E Digger.
And then you have Ray J. Like, I can't stand that River Cricket.
The Guru.
Okay, the level of crack she's smoking, I don't want it.
BS3 Network proudly presents the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, where from card tips to hot topics to meep of the week, anything goes. Live every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Central. What's on E Digger's mind?
A and B, I'm going to see my way out of it. Because why? I don't care. I have a message for people who do nothing but complain about black people. We can't change who we are. You called the cops on me. I think that every time you call the cop on someone on a false accusation, your need to be a little bit punished.
BS3 Network proudly presents a man with a lot to say and is unabashed to say it. What's on E Digger's mind? Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. Welcome back to Mentality, the place where iron sharpens iron in all the realms of a man's life. With Wize and Jefe, I am Cole Johnson. And now we get a chance to talk about a lawsuit filed and a lawsuit being settled. Who was the party to sue and who was the party being sued? Well, welcome to Politically Speaking. Well, Dominion Voting Systems filed a lawsuit of $1.6 billion back in 2021 against Fox News. And why did they file this lawsuit? Well, they felt they had to file it because Fox was giving us all the business of improper voting booths, techniques, and practices. So the Dominion Voting Systems decided to do that. They decided to sue Fox News. A settlement came this week of $787 million. Now, now the Fox released this statement saying the following, quote, "We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion Voting Systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings, finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We're hopeful that our decision to resolve this dispute with Dominion amicably instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial allows the country to move forward from these issues." Close quote. Now, I will open the floor to you, sir, and I'll ask this simple question. Would you have liked to have Dominion receive more in their settlement?
Yeah. Because Fox News has been spewing propaganda since the Orange Man loss, talking about, oh, these machines weren't tallying right, or whatever they said it was going on, improper voting, all this nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they kept pushing it, and that's what they kept pushing and kept saying, and kept, oh yeah, vote, the election was stolen, these machines are faulty.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so good to see that people like Tucker Carlson, the idiot that we spoke about last week, he just looked like a moron in that video he just looked like he was stupid. Anyway, Tucker Carlson and his buddies at Fox, their job is to keep us divided. And so I'm glad Fox has to pay. I would have loved to see them pay the 1 point whatever billion.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been nice. But hey, the Dominion felt that they didn't want to go through the court system. They got a nice big chunk of change. So yeah, but but they still pushing that agenda that the election was stolen. So because it's all about pushing an agenda. It's all about pushing an agenda. If it's the left or the right, they're all about pushing an agenda. And at that point, they just wanted the Orange Man to really win bad. And America, even though it's the lesser of two evils, I really didn't like the Orange Man. Yeah, we have someone now that's kind of
he's slowing the uptake. I'm sorry.
He's slow.
I'm sorry.
He's slow.
He's slowing the uptake.
Yeah, he needs. That's why this is why me and Poppy said what we said on our show, which airs on the BS3 network, Poppy J and Wize, and we feel there should be an age limit in politics. Like, you shouldn't be running for any office after 65. Shouldn't.
I understand that. The problem, though, is this country really does, especially with presidents, they seem to not really trust somebody to be in office unless they happen to be maybe around our ages now.
Yeah, that's fine. I could deal with someone our age, because now we're talking about people that were born during our time where it was more. I feel our generation is more understanding when it comes to certain things, and we're much more I don't think we're as racist. We don't have as many racists in our age group compared to those prior to us. And so for me, I'm happy. I would love for the politicians to be within 45 and 60 years old. That's the ideal age that I would prefer, because you have politicians in office that were in office when segregation was around. I feel at a certain age, you done lost touch with reality. You done lost touch with your constituents, because most of the people that voted for you the first few times probably kicked the bucket. We have a in New York. George Santos.
George Santos.
You scum. You are scum.
Oh no.
But the reason he wants to serve his one term is because he wants health care for life.
Exactly.
But this dude is a piece of shit. He's lied about everything that's come out of his mouth has been a lie. I get it. He's a politician.
Thank you.
They lied through that. This dude was lying. Like, oh yeah, my grandmother was in the Holocaust. Dude, your grandmother wasn't in no Holocaust. Stop lying. You get arrested in Brazil for whatever you did.
Not forever. Whatever.
For whatever you did. Whatever you did. I don't know what. And now you come here and you run for office and you win. This just shows you how oh my God. People are just not too bright nowadays, man. How do you vote this man in office? How?
All right. So how would you propose the network change how they actually go about reporting the news? When we're talking about Fox.
How would I?
Okay. How would you then? Yes. How would you?
It wouldn't work because I would tell the truth. It just wouldn't work. Because I would be honest and tell the truth and tell y'all, oh, y'all screwed. But of course, Fox is going to push their agenda. NBC is going to push their agenda. Disney is going to push their agenda.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate that the media companies have agendas to push instead of having, instead of having the responsibility of the public trust to basically be a mirror to society. Would I like to actually have them be honest? Yes. And this would not just be Fox. If the same thing would happen to CNN, I'd want to hear that from them. If it's MSNBC, I'd want that from them. If it's Newsmax, I'd want that from them. Yeah. If it's The Blaze, I'd want that from them. It doesn't matter. It could be I'll keep the coverage. I'll keep the coverage. It doesn't matter what media entity you're talking about. If a mea culpa has to be done, do it. So this has nothing to do with anything about what side you're on. It's you are staining the journalistic integrity of the industry.
Yeah.
In doing this. And this has to stop because we're hurting. We have over 330 million people in this country. You're hurting the overall general population because you're feeding into the cheerleader mindset that politics seems to now take. Later, we will have Thoughts from the Throne. This is Mentality. What do you get when you watch or listen to the Life Happens podcast? Well, I'll let them tell you.
Kim and I are both ministers of the gospel, and Life Happens podcast is a beautiful balance by simply taking our spirituality with real life and merging it together to create a beautiful balance. And that's what we do.
BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens podcast, where Christianity and life intersect. Live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central. Welcome back to Mentality, the ultimate masculine safe space. With Wize and Cole, I'm Cole Johnson. Now, we talked about one Fox recovering. We talked about another Fox paying up. And now we're going to talk about Foxes, but of a different variety. Actually, athletes. But we're not actually going to talk about athletes. We're going to talk about the supporters of athletes and something that just went wrong. What is that, you may ask? Well, it's time that we bring all of these entities into and under the learning tree. For Massachusetts Running Club Pioneers Run Crew, the third Monday in April is always a day of celebration. Now, if you're not running, then you're cheering for those taking part of the Boston Marathon. Now, they were representing their club when a member of that crew, a 39-year-old, went to BuzzFeed and told them that their cheer zone was being set up to support runners as they hit the notoriously difficult 21st mile of the normal 26.2-mile trek. And of course, organizers got a grill together. They got a DJ to spin tracks as people came to catch a glimpse of their friends dance and give even a high five to the runners coming in their direction. Now, all that seems great and all that seems harmless, right? So why was it when police pulled up to the cheer squad around noon on that last Monday, that the 39-year-old representative of the run crew wasn't sure what they were doing? He actually said it felt like it was a traffic stop. And the reason why he felt like it was a traffic stop was because there was more and more cops that came upon the scene. They looked upon the scene, they left, and then they came back, and a police presence was thick around their crew. And it looked as though, and it sounds as though, and it feels as though we're in a situation where they were celebrating while black at the Boston Marathon.
All right, so I'm gonna start with this. Boston. let's put it out there. Boston. It's just ridiculous, man. Like at this day and age that we can't celebrate, we can't have a party. We can't, like, you can't see a bunch of black people together because you're already gonna assume there's something gonna go wrong. That just it blows my mind.
Yes,
I guarantee you at the St. Patty's Day parade, they weren't. Well, a lot of them are cops, so yeah, maybe there were a lot of cops there, but still, still, Why is it when black people get together, it's an issue? Why all this police presence? We already know about Boston. If you're not a sports athlete in the town, even some of the athletes get traded like it. Yeah, no.
And if those who are thinking with Wize, yeah, there's a tinge of that's a Yankees fan talking, but there's also a bigger portion of there's a lot of truth to it. When the late great Bill Russell even said, and this came out of his mouth, where it was like, man, I mean, it could be in the stadium, I mean, it could be in the Boston Garden, it could be at my house, it could be in the hood, heck, it could even be in Harvard. I encountered a lot of racial pressure and a lot of racism. And that pretty much speaks of my time in Boston. Otherwise, it's great. Implying that he did not really have a fun time in Boston a lot of the time because he had to deal with crap like this. Even he, an 11-time champion, had to deal with racism because, well, we were talking about the late 50s and the 60s.
And he said he didn't represent Boston. He represented the Celtics.
Yes, he represented the Celtics.
He represented the Celtics. And why didn't he represent Boston? Because Boston sucks.
To the point where when they held the retirement ceremony for his number, nobody attended. It was a private ceremony. That is how bad Boston was for Bill Russell. And you can look up, I think it was in the mid 70s. There was I think it was a bus protest that went foul and went awry. And that typifies a lot of the racial history that is extremely deeper than you would think a northern city would actually have.
You would think
comprises of Boston.
You would think Boston is somewhere in the South. You would think Boston is in the South somewhere from the way these act like. That's why I say Boston.
Yeah. That's why I had to clarify. I was like, yeah, part of it is this is a Yankees fan talking, but most of it
is part of it is the Red Sox. Yes, most of it is the Red Sox. But the city itself,
but there's a lot of truth to that because of how the city has been.
Yeah, it's not like this is new.
Right.
This has always been a thing, and there's been an issue in Boston that there's a lot of racial tension. It's not new.
No. This is a question I was thinking of, and let's be forthright here. So in the position I hold, my responsibility is this area. So, when I was getting together with my staff and the editors of the different newspapers in the area, one of the questions I asked was, how has the policing been from the time the bombing took place, which was around this time 10 years ago, to today? Has it increased? Has it decreased? I would love to have a story about that. And I think there was one who piped up and said, I don't think it's changed all that much. So to that end, how much of a role do you think the bombing 10 years ago played in the police protocol today around this run crew, if any?
It's because it wasn't people of color who blew up the marathon.
Nope.
It wasn't people of color who blew up the marathon.
And that was facts.
It's fact. It's proof. It's a movie. There was not black people involved in the bombing of Boston.
Right.
Not even brown.
No.
They were white.
Yep.
So why is it a black race crew has so much police presence? Because they're partying, having a good time, celebrating, wanting to celebrate the Boston Marathon and celebrate hey, listen, let's celebrate these lives that are lost on this tragedy 10 years ago. That's all that was. But yet, when you see a lot of black people together, you assume there's going to be problems. There's going to be fights.
Right.
That's not the case all the time.
No. And in darn sure wasn't the case this time because they're part of a run crew. So they definitely don't want the drama. They just want to cheer on those who were actually participating in the marathon.
Cheer each other on.
Which, with other entities, you encourage that. So if you encourage it with other entities, why shouldn't you encourage it with this one?
Yeah.
All right, so how can fairness be represented in policing the Boston Marathon going forward?
They might have to hire more brothers on the Boston Police Department. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know how many brothers work for the Boston Police Department. I don't know. But I'm sure it's not a big number.
I don't think it's a big number either. But when I saw this story, yes, part of it was cool. Wize gets to rail against Boston yet again, but I was like, it's going to be more than just that because when I tell him the details of this, he's going to be outraged just like I was.
No, it's ridiculous, man. It's a shame that again in 2023 this is going on. This nonsense is still going on.
I think I was 11. The reason why I sort of laugh, I laugh because it is funny when you say F Boston, but I also laugh because you sound exactly like my father because he actually said to me, and this is a quote from him, quote, "Boston in my travels is the most segregated and racist city I've ever stepped foot in," close quote. And I grew up in Houston. And he also lived in New Orleans. That should tell you something right there. And now, thoughts from the throne.
So this week it's been great. It's been great. I'm so proud of the things that I'm getting done and accomplished with Stuck in My Mind, with Mentality, with Poppy J and Wize. I'm proud and excited for what the future holds. Just released an article that I was interviewed in on Canvas Rebel, and I'm just excited for what the future holds because I get to do what I love. I get to be behind the mic talking about things that concern me and topics that I feel that I can talk on. But it's a feeling. It's a great feeling because again, I get to do what I love to do, and I wish everyone could experience what I'm doing. Could experience doing things you love to do. So my thing to everyone out there is take it one day at a time. Enjoy your time with your family and your loved ones, and find something that you're passionate about. Find something that gives you purpose, that gives you something to look forward to every day. And I look forward to being able to create content to help people, to help me grow. Enjoy your life, enjoy your family, and find your purpose. Find what you are meant to do here, because we all have a purpose. We all have a reason to be here.
Today, a friend of mine celebrates his 50th birthday. And my birthday's coming up soon. And with each and every passing year, I reflect. And of course, this one's a milestone for me. So, I've been reflecting slowly but surely for the last month or so. And I remember a couple of days ago, I was in the mirror in the bathroom, just looking as I was looking, and I was thinking to myself, man, when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, I thought 50 was old. But now I'm looking at many of my friends who are turning 50, and I'm about to do the same. And I'm like, I don't feel old, although yes, I do feel brittle at times, but I don't look old. In fact, I've had many of my colleagues say to me, 50? Fool, please stop lying. In feeling the age that I am now, man, it's like I'm now walking into the prime of my life. I don't think I've ever been able to say that I am happier at any juncture in my life than right now. And it is due to a lot of things, this show being one of them. But ultimately, I'm happy that my brother is celebrating 50. Today is his turn. Friday will be mine. And all I can say is these last 50 years have been great, hadn't it, my friend? We look good for 50, don't we? And those are thoughts from the throne.
Get well to my man D. Drew Willingham.
Yes.
Who suffered a stroke last week. You're in our prayers, brother. Get well soon. We need you on that mic because you are amazing when you do your show.
You are a beast.
He's actually he's one of my highest viewed shows when he came on Stuck in My Mind. He has great energy. So, brother, I'm praying for you. Get well soon. We definitely need you behind that mic.
Yeah. And I echo those same sentiments, Drew. You are one of the classiest of class acts. And we know that you're going to come back and you're going to rock it even harder than you did before. This is just a hurdle. You're just jumping over it right now. So yes, my prayers are to you as well. And that will do it for this episode of Mentality. We thank you so very much. And as we always say in parting, we'll do so right now. Our secret technique is that we always speak with mentality. See you next time.
Peace.
That's 100.